Number of Indian origin CEOs who are running global corporations today, Vas, and you're one of them. When you hear about, people talk about this, there's almost this collective sense of ownership. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I think it's amazing on the one hand, and I think a lot of it comes down to, why I would think about it is our forefathers and grandmothers and grandfathers who worked so hard to give us the opportunity, give somebody like me the opportunity to be educated in the U.S. and have all of the opportunities that I have. So I always think you stand on the shoulders of giants, and there must have been many giants walking around India, 50, 100 years ago.
If so many of you made it to the top.
It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. So we've never all gotten together to really discuss how it happened, but I certainly know many of the other, and I know they all feel a lot of pride about it.
But why do you think we're seeing this? I mean, yes, we are today we have a large population, but so does China, and yet we don't see Chinese executives making it to the roles of global CEOs heading global corporations. What do you think is specific or unique to why we're seeing this happen?
You know, it's hard to say. I think a few things. I mean, certainly the emphasis on education in Indian communities is so strong. So anywhere in the world Indian communities go, of course, there's such a drive. I even have it with my own children, right? Drive to educate, which I think creates a lot of opportunity then for highly educated individuals. I think also what I observe, at least, is Indians are able to adapt to very different situations. I mean, I'm an ethnically Indian. I was born in Pittsburgh in the United States. I've lived all over the world, and now I'm a CEO of a Swiss company, right? And so you have to be able to adapt, and I think Indians are pretty good at that, and I think that makes a big difference.
Focused approach that Novartis has embarked on since 2022, and part of that is to exit businesses and spin off Sandoz, exit Roche, and so on and so forth. What's been the big cultural shift that you've also had to make within the organization to bring in this very laser-sharp focus on going up the innovation chain?
You know, when you think about our company, we're a knowledge industry. I mean, we're a knowledge company with knowledge workers. And one of the transitions when I became CEO in 2018, we started on was this idea of an inspired, curious, and unbossed organization. The idea that empowered people make better decisions, they're able to innovate. And that's been the journey we've been on as a company over these last 5 years, with the belief that if you're really pure play innovation, you're all about your people's ability to come up with incredible ideas and translate those ideas into products and services for your customers. And that's the journey we've been on. It's not always been easy, I can say. It's been bumpy along the way, especially when you're doing 100 billion of transactions, spinning companies, divesting things, restructuring. That causes doubt about your commitment to the culture. But I believe in the long run, over decades, for Novartis to be a successful pure play innovator, we've got to get this culture right. It's going to all be about empowered people, inspired to do their work, relentlessly curious about the external world. That's where the innovation comes from.
So how have you unbossed yourself?
Unbossed myself is a really good question. I think unbossed is a lot about personal accountability, and so what we really try to say is, instead of waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do, you've got to come up with your own narrative. And I've seen over the time as CEO, there are moments in time you have to find where you say, now is the moment to take the next step. Nobody told me in the first part of last year, let's take the next step in the transformation. Let's exit Roche. Let's spin Sandoz. Let's re-architect the whole Novartis structure globally. That's a moment in time you have to take personal accountability in my role as CEO and make the transformation happen.
But this requires courage as well, because there are going to be questions asked, and there will be perhaps doubts, as you pointed out as well. How do you sort of find that confidence and the courage within to say, I am going to move ahead with this? Because in the short term, it might have, a different outcome.
I think a lot of this, for me at least, personally, is from the Indian heritage of growing up and learning about meditation, learning about exercises like yoga and pranayama, looking inside yourself to find an inner peace that allows you then to be courageous, because in a lot of ways then the psychological security you build inside your own mind. I mean, I really believe what my grandparents in the end taught me, which I didn't appreciate, I have to say, 20, 30 years ago, really comes back now. Because that's where you find the strength. You won't find the strength from the external world, because rightfully reporters and investors will criticize and challenge. You have to find that strength from within. And they gave me those tools when I was a child and adolescent, And now I use those tools today as a global CEO.
You know, so this inside-out approach that you're talking about, and it's not always easy. You make it sound easy. It's not easy. It's tough to pull off. But as you look at the journey today, you started this in 2022. Where do you believe you find yourself in being able to execute?
Well, we actually started, if you go back, even in 2018. So we exited then the consumer health business.
GSK.
We spun Alcon. So we've had a long journey. I do think now we're getting to the point where, at least from my mind, the structure of Novartis is the right one. We are one of the largest, if not the largest, pure play innovative medicines company in the world. Operations in over 100 markets. We, in our innovative portfolio, reach almost over 250 million patients. We're in these 5 therapeutic areas. We have the right technology platforms. And now it's all about, in the next years, executing to showing we can consistently get great medicines out and get them to as many patients as possible. And then I think the multiples, the valuation, the financial performance will follow. So we really shift now, let's say in my second 5 years as CEO, from a transformation story to an execution story. And that's what we need to deliver on over the coming years.
As a physician scientist and now CEO, do you believe that your approach to this job is different because of that? And how do you see the role of science, innovation? I mean, how much can you speed up science? That's been the big question through the course of the pandemic, which you also addressed. But, because of your background, do you see your role as CEO differently?
I do, I think. I mean, fundamentally, the numbers that animate me are maybe not the numbers that are in the income statement or in our balance sheet. It's
not
the
EPS.
It's the numbers of medicines we create for the world. It's the number of patients we reach with those medicines. I think what we sometimes lose in today's world, where we have so many great medicines and vaccines, is what an incredible story it is that for most of human history we had no medicines. And in the end, in the last 150 years, we unpack 2 billion years of the evolution of a human cell, of any animal cell, in fact, and we find a single molecule that can transform the life of a cancer patient or transform the life of a heart disease patient. And the fact that we can do that again and again is an absolutely extraordinary achievement. I think of it, it's like building a rocket. I mean, we celebrate rockets when they go up into space. The fact that we find medicines...
Can we celebrate malaria drugs as much?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if we could start to understand the magic that those medicines really are, that's what gets me excited. And every time we find a new technological advance that lets people live longer, healthier lives, that's pretty amazing.